You've probably heard the only constant in life is change. What is up, everyone? I hope you're doing well. If you don't know me, my name is Ishaan, and welcome to the video. Today, I just want to open up about some of my recent thoughts on being in a PhD program right now. And just over a year ago, like around this time, I was working for the largest healthcare software company in the US, which to me is crazy. And I will let me take you back to 2022. Summer of 2022 is when I graduated from undergrad. I was about to take this healthcare tech job that's gonna pay me almost six figures. And I'm like excited. I get to move halfway across the country, away from my friends, away from my family. And it was just this period of solitude and sheer I don't want to say loneliness because I wasn't lonely, but I was alone. And I spent so much time digging into myself, figuring out my beliefs. In fact, most of my spiritual development really started in 2022 when I started reading different kinds of books and started to really rethink my mindset and upbringing to figure out, okay, what beliefs were instilled in me through society and through education or through my parents, and which beliefs were things that I genuinely had innately within me that I felt naturally attracted to. This discernment of what's yours versus what's being put in place into your mind is, I feel like it's such an important distinction to make if you really want to figure out what your core values are and how you want to live your life. If you're not able to distinguish between your own natural voice versus what the society is or has conditioned you to believe in some way, then it's going to be extremely difficult for you to decipher the right steps that you want to take for your life. One of the biggest signs that this could be something to delve deeper into for yourself would be internal conflict. That's how my journey started in 2018 when I just felt so it was so now in hindsight I consider it misalignment, but at the time it just felt like something there was something empty within me and I wanted to fill that void. But 2022, when I decided to take my healthcare tech job, it was supposed to be a chosen path of figuring out who the fuck I really am. And I knew that I had to move away from everything familiar in order to figure that out. The main thing I wanted to head into was that when I took that job, I hated it, or that's what I thought in the time. And I was like, oh, I can't wait for the next thing. I can't wait to figure out what I'm going to do next. I can't wait to leave this place. I don't like Madison. I don't like Wisconsin. I don't like the Midwest. And I kept repeating all these thoughts and all these patterns for months, where even at the end of my job, like I was happy to quit, but by that time I'd also built some friends and connections that it felt sad to leave. And there was also this woman I was seeing at the time that I was particularly really into and attracted to, and it was just sad that I had to leave. I had to leave Wisco in 2024. But in that time period from 2022 to 2024, when I was at that job, like I said, I was constantly thinking about, oh, what is the next thing gonna be? I really want to get to it. Like, fuck it, fuck this job, fuck everything. Like, I hate this. I'm gonna just do the bare minimum, blah, blah, blah. Though I always went above and beyond for everything I invest in. So the job really, I did do that at the job too, to a certain extent. It wasn't just I was hitting the bare minimum. And at times at my job, I would think, oh, you know, maybe if I was doing this, I would be so much happier. I would feel so much better in life. And at that time, I thought graduate school was gonna be it. I thought science was gonna be it because I really truly have this love for space sciences, and that's been something since that's been present since I was a little boy when I was like 8, 9 years old, dude. So I thought it was my calling and purpose, and I wanted to keep pursuing it. So graduate school seemed like the next best step. And in my mind, I kept visualizing, oh, it's gonna feel amazing. It's gonna be this. It's gonna be that. Like I'll be able to structure my own time. I'll be able to do whatever I want in this. Like money's not gonna be that great, but I'll figure it out. And now that I'm in graduate school, which I'm currently in the second semester of my first year, so I've barely like even started really. Like you know, it's been like a few months, like 7, 8 months. It hasn't even been a full year yet, and I'm starting to get similar thought patterns where I'm like, oh, now that I'm here, I can't wait to see what's next, or I can't wait to get to the next thing, because what I have is not technically satisfying me in some shape and form. And that's how I felt last year too. But this is all part of the process. This is all part of my journey of figuring out who the fuck I am. Like when I went through the job experience, I realized, okay, I don't want to live without having science in my life. I don't want to live without having something that I'm passionate about. Now that I'm in graduate school, I'm doing research. I understand that research is not something that I currently see myself doing for the long term. Yet at the same time, I see so much value in the PhD process, because it's not just about research, it's about building skills, it's about learning how to learn, it's about figuring out a little bit more about yourself, how you learn, how your mindset works, and how you're able to push through roadblocks and obstacles, because that's what a PhD is filled with, like genuinely. And being very comfortable with ambiguous projects, which is something I've been working on since I was an undergrad. So to be honest, that is my comfort zone. Being in ambiguity. That I said that's so weird. Being in ambiguous projects and things that don't necessarily have like set end goals, it's literally my comfort zone, because that's how all my projects have took shape since undergrad. So it's not really out of the norm for me to be part of that. What I want to go back to is how the current same thought pattern is similar to last year, where I'm like, I don't know what's gonna come next, but I really want to figure it out. But I have to remind myself that, dude, even at my job, it took me like a year, like minimum, to just get settled in and to really grasp my surroundings, get a hold of my, just like stabilizing in a new environment. Like it takes time, and you have to be patient and compassionate with yourself in this time. And that was one of my biggest learnings from last year. So now my mind is definitely more even and more balanced, where I recognize that I have these thought patterns of, oh, like this is not entirely fulfilling as I thought it was going to be, as I expected it to be. But I recognize that I haven't even been here a full year yet. Like, I need to give myself some time. I need to keep going through this process in order to really figure out whether it's meant for me or not. It's way too early for me to decide, oh, I'm gonna quit or I'm gonna go, because to be honest, I haven't even gotten to the hardest parts or the challenging parts yet. And until I get to those parts and overcome them, I feel like I'm not getting the learnings that I really want out of this experience and I need out of this experience to figure out what my next steps are gonna be. So if you ever feel that you're stuck in some sort of repeating thought patterns where you entered a new thing, a new space, a new job, a new setting, a new class, and anything new, and you feel like, oh, this is weird, this feels off, or this is not meant for me, I don't know if this is gonna work, I want you to be patient with yourself. I want you to give yourself time to settle into this new thing. In fact, the way that this thought pattern is working is quite normal, and it's because you're shaking something up. Like you're actually trying to introduce deliberate change into your body, and your body's having a hard time adjusting with it, and that's so normal, which is why you need to just be patient and compassionate with yourself. Like listen to these thoughts or observe these thought patterns and then talk them out, but realize that your actions don't have to come from these thoughts. Your actions can be derived from a place of where you are believing in yourself, confident in yourself, and trusting and surrendering to your path and your journey, and realizing that you're exactly where you're meant to be. And in order to get to that next thing that you feel like is going to feel more aligned, you need to extract the learnings from your current experience and you need to go through it. If you don't, if you keep running away or keep quitting or just keep taking a step back as soon as you feel like, oh, like I feel weird, I feel uncomfortable, this is not for me, you're not going to be able to truly immerse yourself and give your full self to this experience to realize whether it's meant for you or not. And in the grand scheme of life, a year, 2 years, that's not a long period of time. It's really not. And if you have to give yourself to an experience for that amount of time to derive learnings, I feel like it's such a trade off. You have to think, one of the things that Alex Hormozy talks about is how, if you want to become a patient person, you're gonna have to go through challenges that force you or allow you to become and practice that, you become that person and practice that skill of patience. Like, if you want to be strong, you're gonna have to go through challenges. It's one of those things where you have to go through certain parts of your journey regardless of how it makes you feel, because it's the thing that's meant for you and it's going to teach you things that will prepare you to become a better version of yourself. And this is a lifelong process. This is not just, oh, you'll figure out your purpose and then you'll feel aligned for the rest of your life. Like, that's how I used to think, but just the past 3 years ish, since 2022, when my spiritual development really kicked off, I realize and recognize that it is a lifelong process, and even these thoughts that I'm feeling now, chances are that I'll feel these thoughts again at some point in the future, where I assume or expect something to bring me alignment, and it will, to a certain extent, but probably not to the expectation that I'm holding in here and in here. And that's why another key concept or key belief is to let go of a fixation on an expectation or an outcome. I, I think this week's theme I keep coming back to is trust where you're meant to be and just surrender to universe and God that things are going to work out in their own way, and it's going to be so beautiful regardless of whether it's something that brings you joy and love, abundance, or gratitude, or if it brings you pain and hurt. Because at the end of the day, both sides are just different energies, and you can use those energies in your life to derive actions and to perform your duty and your responsibility for whatever it is that you've committed to do. Already almost 15 minutes into this yap session, so if there's let me quickly think if there's anything I missed or wanted to cover that I didn't, because this is supposed to be my own processing session, because these are thoughts that have been in my mind this whole past week. But if there's anything I can leave you with, it's that you should be patient and compassionate with yourself in times when you're trying new things, and you gotta give yourself time to settle in, to stabilize, so you can discern from a stable peace of mind that whether this experience is something that you want to continue on with, or whether you want to change and shift your trajectory to go towards something else. Regardless of the decision, you're gonna be on the path that you're meant to be on. So trust that and surrender the fixation of the outcome or how things are gonna work out. I didn't know that, like, last year when I was thinking about applying to graduate school and even applied for the site, applied, got offer letters and things, I never expected my life to look like what it looks like right now. And even for the future, I could imagine certain outcomes or certain experiences, but they'll probably transpire in unexpected ways, and that's such a beautiful part of life. that is such a beautiful part of life, and I'm just grateful. And yeah, I'm just ending with some gratitudes because I feel it in my body right now. I'm grateful for literally all the past experiences that have allowed me to become the man that I am today. And I'm grateful for all the experiences that I will go through that will continue to guide me into a higher version of myself so that I can offer my best self to the world, to my family, to my relationships, to you, and to people that I share life with. You can't pour water from an empty cup, but when you fill your cup to a point where it starts to overflow, naturally you spread love that you don't even have to try. And again, the thought patterns are going to be there, or you might repeat the same ones, but what you don't have to repeat is your actions. Give yourself grace, give yourself compassion, give yourself time. Recognize the thought patterns, reflect, realign with what feels like it's derived out of your core values and purpose, and continue to live life in a way that feels authentic to you. Okay, I'm gonna wrap it up here. I hope you got something out of the video. If you've made it this far into it, I just want to say I appreciate you so much. And honestly, I'm just so proud of you for like continuing to do the inner work that you do. Because chances are, if you've made it this far into the video, you're someone who either really just wants to support me, for which I'm forever grateful, or it also makes you think about your own path and your own journey. And that's really what I hope it does for you. And you continue to reflect upon how you can continue to take the steps that will allow you to have the creative expression in your life so you can live authentically and offer your best self to the world as well. Sending you love, and yeah, grateful for you. I'll see you in the next one.